I'm Julie Zenner along with Dennis Anderson, and here's what's coming up on Almanac North.
Well, there's a special election next week, and the two people vying for a seat on the St. Louis County Board are here to state their case.
The group working to restore the old Duluth Armory received good news this week, a $250,000 grant for exterior preservation.
And we'll have the business headlines and a web video that may give you a different perspective on cold weather.
It's all coming up next on Almanac North. Hello and welcome to Almanac North. Thanks for watching. Denny, it's good to finally get a break from some of that bone-chilling cold that we've suffered through in recent weeks.
It was tough on a lot of people, but you know what? We live here in the Northland. It's all happened a million times before, huh?
It has, and it makes summer feel so much better.
Isn't that the truth?
That's right.
Wow.
That's why we appreciate it. Well, there's an important special election next week. Let's meet the candidates.
All right, thank you very much, Julie. Now, that special election is for the St. Louis County Board in the 2nd Commission District. The winner will serve the final 3 years of the term of Commissioner Steve O'Neill, who passed away last summer. The two men vying for the seat are here for one more forum before next Tuesday's election. Jim Stauber is a former Duluth City Councilor who just finished his 3rd term on the council. And Patrick Boyle is a current Duluth City Councilman who won re-election last fall to his 2nd term on the council. Thank you both for being here. Mr. Stauber, let's begin with you. Why do you think you're the best candidate for the county board?
Well, I'm a Duluth native. I've lived here for 60 years. I've lived out in the eastern part of Duluth, and I have 12 years experience in government, serving on the city council, so I understand the issues. I understand how government works, and I understand how to get things done.
And Mr. Boyle, the same question to you.
I think I have a better standing with relationships. When I first came out in the beginning of September, door knocked, it was when the federal shutdown was. And it's not about being Democrat or Republican, but working together. And I think I have the relationships with Mayor Ness and local state representatives to get things done.
What do you see as the primary role of county government?
It's a significant role. You've got a $320 million budget. We're the biggest county this side of the Mississippi, 3,000 miles of county roads and bridges, and significant social services that are designed from us from the state legislature.
Would you agree?
Well, public safety, they get the lion's share of the tax dollar. They take about 33%, and I think that's probably the most important thing any government can do is provide for the safety and security of its residents. County's no different.
Jim, politically, how do you differ from Patrick?
I'm a fiscal conservative. I have not supported many of our tax raises. I do not support typically bonding, where we pass the burden of government operations on to our children. I don't support new fees and new programs that charge extra fees. I am a fiscal conservative, and that's where I've been for the past 12 years.
Patrick, same question, please.
I think over the last 4 years I've proven I'm fiscally responsible, but sometimes you have to look at bonding issues. And Jim has voted throughout his career against bonding with our law enforcement center, city-county owned, saving taxpayers money. And he's coming out against the $21 million on revamping the county service center, which is in dire need. Sometimes you have to borrow. I borrow on my house and on my car. And when you have to, it's a decent thing to do.
Let me ask you both this question, too. Is the county board spending too much money?
Short answer, yes. I think the county can be more efficient. I think it can be more effective. I think there's always room for improvement in government, and I think we need to take a hard look at that. I have to praise, though, the efforts that they've done over the past 4 years. They've kept taxes in check. Overall, an average for the past 10 years of only 3% increase per year. But the last 4 years, only about a 1.2% increase. So they've done a pretty good job of keeping things in check, actually under the inflation rate.
Patrick, 1.5 million, not overly high?
It's below inflation, and I think that's the most important thing. And again, it's about relationships. I worked with Commissioner Jewell and Commissioner O'Neill. I moved in the assessors over to the county side, making them more efficient. as a proponent of the Law Enforcement Center. In the future, I think we can work with Mayor Ness, with the city, with IT, and healthcare savings.
Are there areas where you think the county and city could work together more closely?
Well, back in 2005, I sponsored a resolution that was passed unanimously by the City Council to form a task force to look at some consolidation of services. And that the mirror of that same resolution then was passed by the county board unanimously. We formed a task force, we passed it along to county staff, and they came back with a number of good recommendations. Our law enforcement center, that's a consolidated center between 911, the county, and the city police, is a result of that, as well as our assessor's office when we consolidated with the county assessor's office. So there are a number of things, our buildings, our logistics, our supplies, public works perhaps, all have that opportunity to consolidate and become more effective.
And both of you have city council experience. Do you think that that would help you in trying to create those relationships and strengthen them?
Yes. I've, again, had great working relationships with the mayor, state representatives, and I would love to continue that on the county side of things.
Patrick, what's the biggest issue facing St. Louis County, particularly the board, and how would you work on that issue?
I think it's the 33 cents on the dollar of county spending is with public service and public safety. That involves our district attorney's office, our Arrowhead Corrections and county jail service, and our sheriff's department. And I want to continue to look, especially with repeat offenders, trying to keep them. They're extremely expensive to keep in jail, and with mental health issues. It's not only a county issue, but a national issue, and we have to do a better job, and I think it'll save taxpayer money in the long run.
Do you see other issues, Jim?
Well, Danny, one of the things I'd really like to focus on is economic development in the county. The county does have a business development section. It's very small, and I think the county needs to take more of a leadership role across the county, not just in the city of Duluth, but a leadership role in economic development and use the tools that we have available, such as tax increment financing or deed grants, Department of Employment and Economic Development, tax abatement, federal grants, to encourage businesses to move here, encourage businesses to stay here and grow here, or at least encourage businesses to continue their livelihood here in Duluth or St. Louis County.
Patrick, building on that, what do you think that the county could or should be doing to encourage job growth in the region?
I think a great example is AAR, bringing those folks in, and that was, again, a partnership between the city, the county, and the state. That was highly sought after company, not only in America, but over in Canada too. And we were able, with a group package, to bring them in. Now we got 4 shifts of livable wage jobs, and that's what we should continue to work on.
Are there certain kinds of jobs or types of industry that maybe the two of you think the county should be focusing on right now?
Oh, mining. This whole possibility of having non-ferrous mining, which is non-iron ore, or precious metals such as copper, nickel, gold, palladium, those sort of things. Mining is what we've been built on in northeastern Minnesota. Duluth is a city that is here because of mining, and I think as a county we need to encourage that mining. 2014 is the year to do it because the environmental issues are no longer there, and the price of these non-ferrous metals has skyrocketed where it becomes profitable for companies. Building new mines for non-ferrous is going to create jobs, it's going to create tax revenue, royalties, it's going to be great for our entire economy.
Patrick, do you agree that environmental issues are no longer there?
I think that's still out on the table. Next Thursday we have the meeting in Duluth with the DNR and EPA with a 3,000-page article, and I want to continue to get that output from the community. And again, I agree with responsible mining that gives livable wage jobs. Our Arrowhead region was created off natural resources, and I respect that. Another issue I want to work on too is we have 1 million acres of county forfeited land. I'd like to look at biomass in the future and get our local folks working.
Sure. As long as I have you talking, how would you compare yourself politically with the late Steve O'Neill?
Steve O'Neill was a friend of mine and a mentor. When I got the phone call from Angie Miller a week after his passing to encourage me to run, was one of those things you always remember in my life. The one thing that Steve O'Neill did well, I think, is empowered folks. It didn't matter if you had a penny in your pocket or $1 million. He was going to help guide you through government and make the most of it.
Jim, if you win the election, you would fill his seat. How do you see yourself politically with Steve O'Neill?
Well, Steve O'Neill was really a great man. And I got a chance to work with Steve before he was even a county commissioner, and then afterwards. We got to work on some housing issues, especially around the university area, and some blight issues. Working with Steve was a true joy. I really enjoyed that. He's done a lot of great things on and off the board, and one of those things that he often does is work very well with the community, work with neighbors, and trying to work through issues. That's one of the things that I have been doing for the past 12 years, and I will continue to do, neighborhood issues.
Mm-hmm. How would you rate the job that the county board has been doing in terms of openness, transparency, communication with people? Are there areas where you think there could be some improvements?
Absolutely. The county has done a pretty good job. They do rotate where they have their county board meetings, which is a positive thing. However, they're daytime meetings. And for the average person who's working there, it makes it difficult to attend those meetings. So I would encourage having some meetings at night. I would also encourage to have it on PAC TV. I would encourage internet streaming, radio broadcasting to engage people, as well as those who have special needs to be able to have access, whether they have a disability that is physical or mental, so that they can be part of the process.
Mm-hmm. Patrick?
I think transparency is key. I've worked hard for that as being city council president this past year, and we'll continue to do it on the county. We have to have evening meetings. It's important. That's when folks can make meetings. And the other thing is work harder with the press, letting them know what we're doing. So sometimes the county is the unforgotten child. And myself, I would love to continue to sit down and have coffee, come on the show, that type of thing.
What do you want voters to know about you that perhaps they don't already know?
One thing is I campaign like I'll work on the job. Since day one, I've been out door knocking. For 10 weeks, I was door knocking 6 days a week. And that's where you really get the pulse of the community, is that intimate relationship, talking one-on-one. Since daylight savings time and getting cold, I've been on the phones, and was on tonight, and will continue to till Tuesday's election.
And Jim, what do you want voters to know about you?
I'm going to bring my experience. The fact that I've lived here for 60 years, and I'm a East End kid that grew up out there. I teach at UMD, I teach at WITC, I was the operations manager at Gold Cross, retired lieutenant colonel from the Minnesota Air National Guard. I have a great and large variety of experience, and that's what I want to bring forward to the county board.
Mm-hmm. Now, some people believe that the job of county commissioner is not a full-time job. Do you think that it is?
Absolutely. It's a $55,000 job, and I respect that. I will continue to work as a nurse practitioner 1 day a week to keep up my licensure. I don't intend to be a lifelong politician. I will retire as a nurse practitioner, but I will give 4 days a week to this job.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about the workload?
Yeah, it's full time. I've retired from Gold Cross. I retired from the Guard. This is what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So you were endorsed by the News Tribune.
I was, yes.
How important are endorsements in a race like this?
Well, it depends on who's endorsing you. The News Tribune, I think most people, no offense to you two, most people believe the media is a bit left-leaning, and I am very right-leaning, and so for the News Tribune to make that decision was very important to show folks that at least they are unbiased in this, and they selected me to do that. So sometimes endorsements are very good.
Mm-hmm. Endorsements important to you?
Yes, they are. I think it brings folks together and helps on campaigns. And we'll continue to always seek those in the future.
Okay, Patrick Boyle, Jim Stauber, all the best to both of you come Tuesday.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for being here tonight. All right.
Thank you.
Now, let's dig into our news file archive for a look at what was making news 25 years ago this week.
140 of the 200 lakes tested in northeast Minnesota contained fish with toxic levels of mercury.
It's a growing discovery that more and more lakes in northeastern Minnesota had fish that were exceeding the FDA limit for human consumption, indicating that there was something going on, increasing amounts of mercury in the lakes probably. So we were looking for all sources, including atmospheric sources, and we found them.
The mercury comes from fossil fuels like oil and gasoline, and it also becomes airborne in the burning of some types of garbage. Mercury levels in a given area can be taken from water or rain. Duluth is one of the 3 area sites where the tests were taken. Walleye in Island Lake, measuring more than 5 inches, contain toxic levels of mercury and should be eaten no more than once a week. Lake trout, 30 inches or more from Lake Superior, shouldn't be eaten at all. And even if you don't fish or eat fish, high levels of mercury can creep into different parts of the food chain.
It also can affect animals and wildlife. There's a study on loons indicating that maybe some of the problems that loons have been having are affected by the elevated mercury in the fish, because loons are fish eaters and are apparently impacted.
Colleen Burns, KDLH News.
A long-running effort to restore the historic Duluth Armory building received a shot in the arm this week. The nonprofit Armory Arts and Music Center, which is working to restore the building, received a total of $300,000 to stabilize the building's exterior. The Armory Group continues to look for additional funding to renovate the entire building and open its planned arts center. Well, joining us now with the latest on the project is Mark Poirier, a local architect and the Armory Project's development consultant. Mark, thanks for coming in tonight.
Well, thanks for having me here.
Tell us about the latest grant. It sounds pretty exciting.
Yes, we were very thrilled to hear about this. It's a legacy grant from the Minnesota Historical Society, and these are very competitive grants. Approximately $3 million was awarded for $9 million of requests, and so we feel very honored really to have been selected. And I think it also shows, there's a panel of regional experts that heritage experts that look at it, and they're judging these projects as to which ones they really feel are worthy of bringing forward, and ours was selected, so we're very excited.
Wonderful. Mark, $300,000 is a nice chunk of cash. Are there other monies already set aside to help with the building once you get the facade taken care of again?
Well, we have been, raising money for quite a while now, and we do have a small nest egg, and we're very happy for a nonprofit organization to be as fortunate as we are. Having said that, though, we've been saving that money so that once we found a developer, we can use that and leverage that money with the tax credits that are available to really take that money to really move it forward. And so we've been holding on to that pretty tight, but we have this $300,000 that we're going to work on our first phase.
And talk about that first phase. What are the main issues with the building that need to be addressed right away?
Right. The first phase, we've decided to develop a 3-phase project, and the first phase being lifting of the demolition order. As you may know, there's a demolition order on the building. And so there's 5 items that are listed on the demolition order, and we've taken care of 2 of those. This $300,000 grant that we've got will go towards stabilizing and repairing the exterior, which is 2 of the other items, and then that leaves us with a final item, which is our floor that we'll be working on.
Mark, how important is the old Armory to Duluth? What's going to be done within this building?
Well, we feel, our board and myself and a number of other people feel that the historic armory is just a great part of our community. It tells a story that's so important. It's a special, unique thing that really makes Duluth a great place to live. And there's just so many great things about the armory. It has a great location, and it's got a great story, and the story allowed to be on the National Register of Historic Places, which then in turn makes it eligible for a number of tax credits.
For those who aren't familiar with the story, what are the things in your mind that really make it so historically significant, not just to the region, but nationally?
Well, a number of events have happened there. Before they built the deck, of course, the Armory really served that function. It was both a military training facility and our deck. And so the entertainers that came to Duluth, and there was quite a number of them in the first half of the century, and they came to the Armory. And so there's just a legacy of just fantastic musicians. Presidents have been there. The last Civil War veteran from the Union side, yes, had his memorial service there, and that was covered, across the nation. That was a very important event.
I think they call it the head house, that section in the front of the Armory that faces London Road. What could be done with that section? It's quite an interesting piece of the building.
Yeah, and you've used the right term. We use the head house, and that 4-story section has great windows, great views of Lake Superior. We think that's the economically most viable piece for redevelopment, such as housing.
Apartments.
And that's actually what we're thinking maybe now. We've talked about a boutique hotel. There could be offices or retail in that space. But on the top floor, there's actually this wonderful ballroom that the Minnesota Historical Society would like us to keep.
What's the condition, the physical condition of the plant? What's it like, that head house area? Is it in pretty good shape?
Well, I would say it's fair. I mean, there's been it hasn't
Water
been maintained.
leakage?
Yes, some sections have had some water leakage. It's going to take a lot of work, and in a lot of ways, it'll be, we'll gut that area and get it all renovated for its new use.
Mm-hmm. Do you have some private investors poking around, interested in the project at this point?
We've had a number in the past. Maybe most recently, you may have noticed in the paper that the Edison School for a little bit considered the Armory, and now they're considering the central site. But we do get, on occasion, we kind of have a steady stream of people that kind of look at that, and it's very encouraging. We've had some very close nibbles, some good bites.
Yeah.
What's your personal passion for the building?
I came into it with two things. I am very passionate about historic preservation, but I also love music. And when I heard the story of Buddy Holly playing and Bob Dylan being in the audience that night, I was hooked. I mean, I just thought that was the most incredible story I had heard, and to me, that really just sold that.
We can't live on history alone. So you see, and the group that is the board and the investors, they see a tremendous future then for this building.
Well, we do see a tremendous future. We see the arts as potentially being an economic engine in Duluth. And if we have that as an economic engine, we're going to need facilities where we can learn, where we can create art, create music. And we think that the Armory is one of those places. It's a great location. It's the end of the art district from downtown, close to UMD, St. Scholastica. We think it's just got the right place, it's the right story, it's everything, it's the whole package.
Interesting story.
All right, well, thank you so much. Congratulations on the grant. Good luck as you move forward.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
for
you,
coming
Mark.
in.
It's time now for the week's business news from Business North. The owner of a Superior dock that could be used to load petroleum products on Great Lakes tankers has lost an early round in his bid to rehabilitate the facility for maritime service. Elkhorn Industries had sought a permit from the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, but the agency decided the project needs more study before it can advance. Environmentalists have voiced concern about shipping petroleum on the Great Lakes, but the dock could be used for many other types of cargo, according to maritime sources. Elkhorn can reapply for the permit after it assembles more data.
Duluth-based Integrity Health Network has been selected as one of 123 new accountable care organizations. That means the group provides coordinated care to patients while helping reduce the cost of the Medicare program. Only about 360 healthcare providers in the nation have earned this designation. Unlike most of them, Integrity Health is a network of independent healthcare organizations rather than a single entity. The Duluth-based group represents 35 independent providers at 46 sites.
NewPage, owner of the West Duluth paper mill, is being acquired by Verso Paper, which owns mills in Michigan and Maine. The $1.4 billion purchase will create a company with annual sales of $4.5 billion. Verso had owned the Sartell, Minnesota paper mill, which closed following a 2012 explosion and fire. The Duluth mill has been owned by several operators, including Pentair, Consolidated Papers, Stora Enso, and NewPage, which emerged from bankruptcy just 1 year ago. For more local business news, visit businessnorth.com.
Do you have a comment about our show? Dial 218-788-2849 to leave a message or send an email to almanacnorth@wdse.org. And don't forget to visit the WDSE website for the latest program information, news and events here at the station, and more. And Denny, while most of us huddled indoors during the recent cold snap, others have embraced it, and we found this fun web video produced by Henry Reich of Hayward, Wisconsin. Take a look.
This morning when I woke up, it was 17 below zero. You know, getting cold.
Feels pretty good. Let's see.
Whew. You can see we skipped some numbers there. That's just what we had the time to show you, and there's more if you search for what to do when it's really cold outside.
Are you going to do that anytime
on
soon?
YouTube. No.
No.
No, I won't.
I won't.
When it's really cold outside, I am inside.
You hibernate.
I do. Yeah. For Denny and the crew here at Almanac North, I'm Julie Zenner. We hope you get out and enjoy a nice winter weekend. Good night.